And now, America's most reasonable political commentator, Bob Kerrigan.
That's a slight overstatement, but thank you for the introduction. This is Within Reason. Bob Kerrigan with you tonight. On 26 August 1967, Colonel Day was forced to eject from his aircraft over North Vietnam when it was hit by ground fire. His right arm was broken in 3 places. His left knee was badly sprained. He was immediately captured by hostile forces and taken to a prison camp where he was interrogated and severely tortured. After causing the guards to relax their vigilance, Colonel Day escaped into the jungle and began the trek towards South Vietnam. Despite injuries inflicted by fragments of a bomb or rocket, he continued southward, surviving only on a few berries and uncooked frogs. He successfully evaded enemy patrols and reached the Ben Hai River, where he encountered U.S. artillery barrages. With the aid of a bamboo log float, Colonel Day swam across the river and entered the demilitarized zone. Due to his delirium, he lost his sense of direction and wandered aimlessly for several days, and after several unsuccessful attempts to signal U.S. aircraft, he was ambushed and recaptured by the Viet Cong. Sustaining gunshot wounds to his left hand and thigh, he was returned to prison from which he had escaped and later was moved to Hanoi after giving his captors false information to questions put before him. Physically, Colonel Day was totally debilitated and unable to perform even the simplest task for himself. Despite his many injuries, he continued to offer maximum resistance. His personal bravery in the face of deadly enemy pressure was significant in saving the lives of fellow aviators who were still flying against the enemy. Colonel Day's conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, are in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Air Force and reflect great credit upon himself and the U.S. Armed Forces. He has the Medal of Honor, the Air Force Cross, the Distinguished Service Medal, the Silver Star, Legion of Merit, Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star Medal for Valor with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Bronze Star Medal for Merit, the Purple Heart with 3 oak leaf clusters, the Air Medal with 9 oak leaf clusters, the National Order of Vietnam, the Vietnam Gallantry Cross with Palm, and the Prisoner of War Medal. My great pleasure to introduce Bud Day. Bud, are you still with us?
I am. Thank you.
Now, I want to play this tape.
God bless you if you have blessed me. Enjoy this. You have earned it more than me. Tomorrow, we begin again. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
All right, calm down.
Yeah.
He's still on the stage. You're going to be. You can't boo a candidate while he's still on the stage. The night he won, Joe. I have to teach you everything about politics all of a sudden.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. I'll tell you one thing I can teach. We were all talking about it over here. It is absolutely remarkable.
Don't read the speech.
That at this moment, yes, please. If this is your introduction to America in 2008. Do not have your head looking straight down into a speech that as Howard Feynman, you said. What did it look like?
Well, it looked like every advisor that he'd ever had given him one paragraph.
One sentence.
One sentence, and he read them all. That's like...
When he dropped them on his way to the podium and resorted them and ran them order.
I feel, having seen him yesterday up there...
Well, Bud, the last speaker said, let's move on. But what I thought was so disrespectful, truthfully, was laughing at a winner and laughing at a man that served this country as you have and he has. And I just wondered if you had a comment about it. If you're not comfortable responding, that's fine. I'm going to ask you some other questions about it.
I do feel comfortable responding to it. I listened to that speech. I did, in fact, send a blog out on the internet telling friends that I thought that he had been very presidential. As you know, John suffered some enormous war injuries, and he's has a crippled leg. Both of his arms are injured, and yet he hustles around as if he were about a 30-year-old. And at the time these people are making these kind of snide comments about him, John has been working about 16 or 17 hours a day.
Right.
Wonder if that's true for the people that are doing all that snickering and sniggering
What I want you to tell us is about the character of the man who I believe may well be the next president of the United States. We want to know what you think about him in terms of leading this country through this enormously difficult morass of Iraq and Afghanistan and the other problems that this nation faces. Is he the guy, Bud, to do it?
Yes, he is. He is the guy to do it. I want to start out with talking about his primary asset. That is his great character. I always say that character is the way you act when no one is watching. And the greatest fact that I can cite about John in that regard is this. The Vietnamese conceived the idea of sending him home early, which would have been a breach of faith with his fellow POWs, probably would have been a breach of the code of conduct, although it wasn't clearly spoken about what to do about badly injured people. So the Vietnamese proposition to him was, look, you know, you're really badly broken, you got every limb is broken, we want to send you home as a gesture of the Vietnamese' goodwill toward America. His response to that was absolutely not. I will go home when the guy in front of me got shot down when he goes. And I will not go home until every guy that's sicker or more wounded than me goes home. I am not going home early under any conditions.
Wow.
That took a lot of guts because
it did indeed.
There were some people that were going to go home, and in fact did go home early and under a cloud. And John understood in his gut that that was the wrong thing. I might add that when he made that decision, no one had gone home early.
Bud, I want to ask you a question, and this is a sensitive subject because you're a red, white, and blue Republican, and I know it, but it has always just offended me greatly, and anybody with any decency or honor or anything else, the way he was treated in South Carolina by the Karl Rove machine. I say Karl Rove or the handlers for George W. Bush in the year 2000. Are you comfortable in talking about that? I know it's in some ways a slap at George W. Bush, but, you know, it's the way I feel about it, and you may not agree with that, Bud. But I always felt bad about the way they spread those rumors and things that just hurt Senator McCain. And just, to me, it seemed to be the most grossly unfair thing to do to a man who had served this country.
Well, it was indecent to be straightforward with you. They made up a lot of really bad stories about him, and much of the religious right were involved in that. Both Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell put out some terrible stories about him, mischaracterized events. There were bona fide crazies out there who also wrote some stuff and have even tried to raise it again in this campaign.
Bud, our time is up. We're going to have you back on as this campaign unfolds to talk further about John McCain. Bud Day, often cited as being the most decorated U.S. service member since General Douglas MacArthur. He's received some 70 decorations, a majority for his actions in combat, and Bud Day is a recipient of the Medal of Honor. Great pleasure to have you on the program, Bud.
Thanks so much, Bob.
Okay. We'll look for you again. Thank you very much. Colonel Bud Day, thanks for joining me. Within Reason, back next week at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, and thanks for watching.